Okay, I'm going to be looking at right now. I just grabbed chapter 21, and this is problem 2, and this has to do with variable and absorption income statements. And so I went ahead and I moved the data over here into the Microsoft Office, just so that I can do some quick calculations because it's easier for me to do it that way. But let's go ahead and get back to Cengage and let's check this out. So we've got this business and they have something, some type of solvent, the demand for solvent. Okay. They want to know, should they suspend the manufacturing of solvent until July 1st? And so here's the data. So in May, they're doing okay. They had 25,000 units. It doesn't appear that they have any ending inventory. I'm not seeing any of that. So sales are expected to go to 15,000 units. Again, it's not telling me if the production is gonna stay at 25,000 units. It just says sales. So I'm a little worried about that. Because that is important. If the solvent production were temporarily, okay. Usually what happens with these is that you find that you should continue the production because at least it eats up some of your fixed cost. But let's go ahead and jump into this. So let's see. They want us to go ahead. It looks like this is going to be our absorption. So I'm going to grab my label and whoops, there we go. Copy. Now with absorption, this one is what we like to call, and I'm going to double check my work, because half the times I get these wrong. Absorption is GAAP. So if you're going to be releasing any income statements externally, you are going to need to use your absorption. Internally, I prefer variable. So let's go ahead, let's continue on. And let's get amount description. Let's go sales. I'm going to paste that there. Now it said we're going to be doing 15,000 instead of 25,000. So it's $15 per unit. So I'm going to come over here, my sales. $15 per unit. And we're going to be doing 15,000. Why am I doing minus? Okay, we're just having a good old time with this, aren't we? 3 times that. Okay, so I got 225. So let's go ahead and put that there. I'm going to double check it just because I'm curious. Okay, good. Now we're going to be looking at our cost. And so this is we're looking at a label. So this should be our cost of goods sold. But we can also call it total manufacturing cost. What are they going to call it? It's not a contribution margin. I'm just going to put cost of goods sold, see if that's what they want. I think it is. Okay. And so this is going to be our direct materials. This is going to be our direct labor. And I don't know if they're going to. Okay. This is going to be our variable factory overhead. This should be our fixed. Come on, sweetie, don't do that to me. wonder if I just click on, there we go. Let's do that. Learning how to be faster, faster, faster. Okay, and so that'll be my total cost of goods sold. Okay, so my direct materials. So if I come back over here, and it's also in your instructions, it's $2.50 a unit. So I got 2.5, I got 3, I got 0.75, and then we got 100,000. Okay. So let's go 15,000. And that, drag that puppy down. Whoops, not there. Down. I'm only going to paste it into those that are going to increase based on production. Fixed costs are going to stay the same no matter what. Is it 100,000? Whoops, I'm missing a zero there. Okay, there we go. So my direct materials are going to be 37,500. Again, this is why I love me some Excel. My direct labor is going to be 45,000. I believe this is going to be, I think it was 11,250. We'll look at it in a minute. And this one is 100,000. Okay. 11,250, good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtotal those costs. Now make sure that I don't hit that revenue right there because I don't want that included in my cost. 193,750. Okay. I'm going to double check this. Excellent. So this should be our total cost of goods sold. There we go. There it is. I was like, where'd it go? I saw it. Okay, copy that one. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to list my selling and admin expenses. This is going to be a gross profit. And so I'm going to take that 193,750. And so if I add 250, that makes it 194,650. So that's going to be 31,250. And let's double check, make sure my addition's correct. It is. Who'da thunk? Now this is going to be my operating expenses, my selling and admin. So let's look at the labels and selling and admin expenses right there. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to, let's see, how many are they going to list here? Nope, they're just going to have two. They're going to have variable and they're going to have fixed. I like to put my variable first. I just lost it. Paste, and this is going to be fixed. I'm going to copy that puppy and paste, and then I'm going to do total admin. Okay, so I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to look at the instructions because I want to know what my variable selling and admin, it's $1.50 per unit. Okay. I just need to know that. And did I put that in here? No, I did not. So let me go ahead and go 1.5 times 15,000. 22,500. Okay. Okay, my fixed selling and admin. It's not my fixed, it's this one right here. Okay. 22,500, and we're going to look at the instructions. Fixed manufacturing cost are 100,000. Fixed selling is 40,000. Add the two together, I got 62,500. And you can see we're going to have a loss. Not descriptions. We'll just use operating. I was looking for net, but that's okay. And we're going to need to make this a negative when we get done with it. Okay, 31250. I'm going to come over here to my handy dandy Excel because it makes me happy. And I'm going, so we got 31250, and what was the other one? 62,500. Negative 31250. That's interesting. Okay, we will double check our work. Excellent. So I've completed that. I got 25 points. So there's my absorption income statement. Now, the next thing they wanted us to do, which this is my favorite one, and you're going to be able to, you might be able to see a difference. We'll figure it out in just a second. And then we'll answer the final questions. Okay, and again, we are going to get that date. Up here is going to be my sales. That doesn't change. And we are going to come over here because I know it's over here somewhere, 225. Okay, the label. Now, this is going to be my variable cost. Let's see what they put in here. I'm going to double check this, make sure I got the right label. There should be no amount there. It should just be a description. So, excellent. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our direct materials. We're going to do, I'm going to have fun with this, direct labor. And this is going to be our variable factory overhead. I'm going to paste that in there. Okay, and then right here, this is going to be my total. Now, if we're going to do this correct, and we're going to put all the names in here, this should be a manufacturing margin. Okay, I'm going to double check and make sure that's what they're putting in there. Excellent. Then after this, we are going to be putting our variable selling and admin. And then this should be a contribution margin. I like to call it a man margin just because it's easier for me to write on the board. Contribution margin. Doesn't help when you spell it wrong. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that information in there. So my direct materials, was 2.5, 37,500. My direct labor is 45,000. And I believe this was 11,250. Let me double check. Good, 11,250. And so I'm going to add the three of those together, and I'm just going to add them up real fast here because it's easier for me to do that than in my head. Okay, 93,750. Whoops, you don't want that. 93,750. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find out what's my manufacturing margin. So I'm going to take that 225 and I'm going to subtract 93,750. Okay, I got 131,250. Okay, my variable selling and admin. So let me go back to the instructions. It's $1.50 per unit. So that's going to be 22,22500. Double check myself because I just want to make sure I'm adding everything in my head correctly. Okay, so then I'm going to subtract that. So that's going to be 7 plus a 500. So that's going to be 1,300. Supposed to subtract. Darn it. Now let's just go in. Minus 108,750. Okay, excellent. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and notice with the variable income statement, we list all of our variable costs, no matter where they fall in the absorption income statement. You can see here, I've got a fixed product cost up here. And I have a variable selling admin cost down here. So when you're working with this variable costing income statement, what they're doing, instead of separating it according to product cost and period cost, what they're doing is they're separating it according to whether it's variable or fixed. So this label is going to be fixed cost. We love a good fixed cost. That's a lot of fun. So I'm going to put the paste there. And so the first one I'm going to have is I'm going to have that fixed manufacturing cost. And then I'm going to have that fixed selling and admin. One was 100,000. I think the other one was 40,000 or something like that. I think I'm going to go, I'll double check in the instructions again. Yep, I was right. Who'd have thunk? So in here, I'm going to put my 100,000. I'm going to put my 40,000. And my total is going to be 140, 123. And let's go, this is going to be our total fixed cost. I'm just not as fast as everything else is. Okay, and so we're still going to see a loss, and we're going to see a loss of, it's going to be negative 31250, I believe. And this is going to be an operating loss. Okay, excellent. So let's look at the absorption and let's look at the variable income statement. Both of them are showing an operating loss of 31,250. One of the things I want you to think about is if you produce more products, let's say you increase your production to 25,000. Now remember, right here, it says my fixed manufacturing cost are 100,000. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. Okay. This is going to be my fixed manufacturing cost. Real long. Now, when I use a variable income statement, and this is going to be my units, okay? This is going to be 15,000 units. This is going to be 20,000. I'm just going to do in segments of 5,000. I'm going to stop there. Now, remember, it's 100,000. So how much does it cost per unit? Okay. Now, if I was only producing 10,000 units, that means that fixed cost is going to be $10. And same thing here, 100,000 divided by 15,000. So you can see, the devil's number. Hate that number. Divided by 20,000. We're going to see it again here in just a minute, but I think it's going to be a 3. Divided by that amount. No, it's a 4. Okay, even better. So you can see as we continue in with this, I'm going to hit this as a number. Okay, good. The cost per unit decreases as we increase our production. Now, we can increase production, but only still sell 15,000 units. So that means instead of spreading, let's say that my production level was 25,000. So that means my per unit is $4. But what if I only sold 15,000? So now I have 10,000 units that are sitting around in my inventory, 25,000 minus 15,000, that I haven't sold. And I'm not going to sell this period. I may sell it next period, or I may just, keep building up this inventory. But what I've done is by overproducing, I'm decreasing the cost for the product when using absorption income statements. So, okay, let me see if I can do this a little bit better. I'm going to move this. I'm going to do one more thing, insert a column, just because I want you guys to see this and to understand why, even though we know, okay, let me just go ahead and get rid of this. We know that absorption is GAAP. We know that a variable income statement is needed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. So here's my production. My production is going to be 25,000. And I only sold 15,000 units. So let's look at what my product cost is. And then I'm going to spread it out so you can see it a little bit better. So we got our direct materials. We got our direct labor. Variable factory overhead. And we have our fixed factory overhead. That's just another term for what they were using. Okay. Now, I remember our fixed factory overhead was $100,000. Okay. Direct materials, I can come over here. 250, 3, and 75. 2.50, 3, and 75. Okay, excellent. So if I produce 10,000 units, let's look at what the cost is going to be to 15,000 units, to 20,000 units, and 25,000 units, cost per unit. So I'm going to sum these. And then I'm going to go right here and I'm going to divide it by the 10,000. Now I'm going to do this all the way through so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, 250 times 10,000. So I want that to, let's see, for that row, I need it to stay on the 5, and I need to have it stay on the okay, excellent. Let's see if this goes through. Whoops, I don't want this one right here. Delete that. So I'm gonna grab these. I gotta put the 100,000 in now. I'm like, oh my gosh, this all looks the same. No, it's not going to. Look at that. As my production increases, my product cost decreases. You see this right here? So that's my per unit right there. And you can see that exactly what I'm saying. My production increased regardless of how many I sell. A lot of people want to focus in on decreasing that product cost and keeping that product cost down. So overproducing theoretically can do that. However, if you do that, what you're going to find is that you're going to end up with a bunch of inventory. Thank you. With a ton of inventory, but not enough demand for your product. So that is one way that you can commit fraud in managerial accounting. So making the assumption that I am a sneaky shyster, just call me Sneaky Snake. And I decide that I want to make my bonus. And they say, hey, if you can get your product cost to go under by this amount, then we're going to go ahead and we'll give you a bonus of $20,000, $25,000, whatever it may be. And I'm like, cool. I know if I overproduce, I can bring that product cost down, but that doesn't mean I have the demand for the product. That means that it's going to be sitting up in my inventory, waiting to be sold. And it may take a couple of months for that to happen. Now I could hide it, and that's probably what's going to end up happening. But for the time being, I made my bonus and I get paid a bonus, even though I didn't really do anything. All I did was create a mess for the person who's going to come in behind me. So I want you guys to realize that. That is why it is so important to see that variable income statement along with the absorption. So you can see if it's truly a product, a decrease in product cost, or if it's just somebody being sneaky. Okay. Okay, I'm going to come back. Oops, I don't want that one. I want this one. Now, your final question is going to be, what would the operating loss if the solvent production were temporarily suspended? Well, I'm going to tell you, you can go to either one of these, and it's going to be your total fixed cost, this 40,000 and this 140,000 right there. So you can choose, and we're going to see this in future chapters, that I'm still covering a portion right here, looking at my, let's look at the fixed, let's look at the variable income statement. I'm coming up, I've got 108,750 of my contribution margin to contribute to 140,000. If I stop this production completely, I'm going to have an operating loss of 140,000. So we got to choose which one do we want. You know, even though we're taking a loss, we're still covering some of it. And so that's where you have to take some other considerations into account, not just looking at numbers and saying, let's scrap it, but looking at other factors as well as human factors. You know, what if I stop this production and then I'm laying off a bunch of people in a town that are dependent on me for their wages? I lay them all off, they're going to be all disgruntled and I'm going to have a hard time. And probably my reputation is going to decrease. So there's going to be people talking about how they're going to compare me to Walmart. I'm all about the money. I'm all about the buck. So there's those human considerations, environmental considerations in there as well. So I just want you guys to think about that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and I'm going to end this so I can go post it. Yay.